And I am happy to welcome you all back. We are still in RA 9298, the Philippine Accountancy Act of 2004, and we are still in the segment where we're going to practice with our multiple choice questions. We have already finished our first 20 questions, and here in part two, we're going to take care of the remaining 25 questions. So I hope you're ready. Let's start with question number 21. The following are grounds for refusal to issue a certificate of registration, and a professional identification card, and we are asked to select the exception. Now, we are reminded that for the grounds for refusal to issue, we do recall the mnemonic ICU. So, immoral or dishonorable conduct, which is found in letter C, conviction of crimes involving moral turpitude, which is found in letter B, and unsound mind, which is found in letter D. So that means the exception here is letter A, conviction for a political offense. This is not a ground for refusal to issue certificate of registration. Question number 22. The board, subject to the approval of the PRC, may revise or exclude any of the subjects in their syllabi and add new ones as the need arises, provided the change shall not be more often than, and actually the RA 9298 has provided for the frequency of the change, it shall be no more than every 3 years. Now, if you are familiar currently, as of date of recording, the effective or the TOS and the syllabi in effect is that which was effective October 2022. That means to say, technically, the Board of Accountancy may already change the syllabi for examinations effective October 2025 onwards. Of course, we can hoping they wouldn't do that yet, as they are also planning to change the licensure examinations, but per provision of RA 9298, they may now do so, as they may do so for if examinations effective October 2025 onwards, as they are given a 3 year allocation or period. So not more frequent than every 3 years. Of course, they don't have to change it every 3 years. It's just that it shouldn't be more often, okay, than every 3 years. Moving on to question number 23. Which of the following statements concerning the practice of accountancy in the academe or education is incorrect? We're looking for the incorrect statement. Letter A, the position of either the dean or the department chairman or its equivalent that supervises the Bachelor of Science in Accountancy program of an educational institution must be occupied by a duly registered CPA, and letter A is correct, right? The dean or the chairperson or program chair must be a CPA. Letter B, CPAs are allowed to teach business law subjects. Are CPAs allowed to teach business law subjects? You may be surprised, but the answer is yes. Okay, even if the CPA is not a lawyer, the CPA is allowed to teach business law subjects. So letter B is correct. Letter C, the position of either the dean or the department chair or its equivalent that supervises the Bachelor of Science in Accountancy program of an educational institution is deemed to be in the practice of accountancy in the academe and education sector. And letter C is correct. The sector or the scope of practice to be invoked here is academe. Letter D, members of the Integrated Bar of the Philippines are not allowed to teach business law and taxation subjects. Letter D is the incorrect statement. So there are two very interesting things we get to see from here. CPAs are allowed to teach business law, and lawyers are allowed to teach taxation and law. So CPAs, even if they are not lawyers, they may teach business law. Lawyers, even if they are not CPAs, may teach business law and they may also teach taxation. Okay, so that makes Delta the incorrect statement because Delta says they are not allowed. They are allowed. Okay, so number 24. As used in RA 9298, this term refers to the area of practice of accountancy, referring, of course, to public practice, commerce and industry, government, and the academe. We refer to them as sectors, right? So Delta sector. Number 25, who is the person that has the authority to suspend or remove a member of the Board of Accountancy on valid grounds and after due process? who can remove members of BOA? We said whoever appoints has the authority to remove. So in this case, may be removed by the President of the Republic of the Philippines. And if you would recall the process of getting somebody appointed to the Board of Accountancy, it starts with PICPA or the AIPO, then PRC, then the president. So in terms of the removal, then while it is the president that makes the final decision to remove, the recommendation may also come from PRC as endorsed by PICPA. Okay, but the final removal, the same way that the final appointment is in the hands of the president, then the removal, the actual removal is also in the hands of the president. So, Charlie. Our next question talks about the CPD programs, and the CPD program shall have these objectives. Letter A, to attain and maintain the highest standards and quality in the practice of the profession, and that is a yes. To make the profession globally competitive, of course, that's a big yes. To raise and maintain the professional's capability for delivering professional services, also a yes. This means that all of these choices are objectives of our continuing professional development programs. Number 28, any candidate who fails in blank complete CPA board examinations shall be disqualified from taking another set of examinations unless they submit evidence to the satisfaction of the board, mean to say the Board of Accountancy, that they enrolled in and completed at least blank number of subjects, units of subjects given in the licensure examination. We know that this refers to the refresher course, and candidates who have failed in two complete CPA board examinations are disqualified unless they have completed 24 units. So the correct answer is alpha. 29. Regarding the practice of accountancy, which of the following certificates is issued to a successful passer first? Is it the certificate of registration or is it the certificate of accreditation? Remember again that the certificate of registration is the birth certificate, so it should be issued first. It does not expire, it remains in full force. In contrast, a certificate of accreditation is needed for those who are practicing public practice, and the academe and the certificate of accreditation expires after every 3 years, similar to your PRC ID. Number 30, the Quality Review Committee shall have the following functions. Letter A, conduct quality control review on applicants for registration to practice public accountancy and render a report on such quality review. Letter A is a yes. Letter B, revoke the certificate of registration and professional ID of an individual CPA firm or partnership of CPAs who have not observed the quality control measures. Letter B is no. The function of the QRC is only to conduct quality control review. The actual revocation will be done by the Board of Accountancy. The QRC only recommends to the Board of Accountancy. But the proper authority to revoke the certificate of registration still rests with the Board of Accountancy. So the answer to number 30 is only letter A. 31, the refresher certificate or the completion and the TOR is valid for 2 years. So, meaning to say, upon completion of the refresher course, the examinee must take the licensure examinations within 2 years. Otherwise, the TOR will expire. Okay. And the TOR we're referring to here is the TOR of the refresher completion. So, bravo for 31. 32, the chairpersons of the FSRSC and the AASC shall be appointed by, do you remember this one? We did answer a related question to this one. They will be appointed by the Professional Regulation Commission, okay, upon endorsement or recommendation from the Board of Accountancy. So it will be the PRC who will appoint chairpersons of the FSRC and AASC, as it is also the PRC who creates these councils or committees. Number 33, the policy for accreditation. In when you talk about accreditation for CPAs in the academe, okay, covers, is it primary and secondary level only? Is it secondary and tertiary level only? Is it primary, secondary, tertiary, and graduate level, or is it primary level only? Can you imagine teaching accounting in the primary level in the elementary years in basic education? But according to the BOA resolution on accreditation of teachers, it covers all levels: primary, secondary, tertiary, and graduate level. What do you think about teaching accounting in the nursery level? Regardless. So, anyway, it's in all levels. So, Charlie for 33. 34. Which of the following statements is incorrect? So we're looking for the incorrect statement. Letter A certificate of accreditation shall be issued to certified public accountants in public practice only upon showing that such registrant has acquired a maximum of 3 years meaningful experience in any of the areas of public practice, including taxation. So, while it is correct that a certificate of accreditation is issued to those CPAs in public practice upon showing years of experience, but the requirement is actually minimum of 3 years meaningful experience and not the maximum. Okay, and when we talk about meaningful experience, it can actually be earned from either working in the commerce and industry. Again, we are highlighting that the position or the work of this CPA in commerce and industry shall include significant involvement in general accounting, budgeting, tax administration, internal auditing, liaison with external auditors, representing their employer before government agencies on tax and related matters. If you talk about meaningful experience obtained from the academe, if it's from the academe or education, it shall include teaching for at least 3 trimesters or 2 semesters. Subjects should be either financial accounting, business law, tax, audit problems, audit theory, financial management, management services, provided that the accumulated teaching experience shall not be less than 3 school years. Do take note that it specifically says accumulated, doesn't have to be continuous. Okay, or if you source your meaningful experience from the government, again, it should involve significant involvement, or it should entail significant involvement in general accounting, budgeting, tax administration, internal auditing, liaison with COA and other related functions. And in case you earn it in public practice, at least 1 year as audit assistant and 2 years as auditor in charge. Okay? Because our provisions did say in any area. Okay, so that is how you will earn your meaningful experience. So letter B then is true. Single practitioners and partnership shall be registered CPAs, definitely. Letter C, the SEC shall not register a corporation. Yes, we know corporate structure is not yet allowed. And meaningful experience are explained under section 28A, and this is section 28A. So I just lifted that from the IRR of RA 9298. Let's move on to question number 35. This one, going back to the idea of foreign reciprocity. Which of the following documents should be submitted by a foreign accountant whose letter or document and the copy of the law on foreign reciprocity of their country are satisfactory to the Board of Accountancy? So, which other documents, okay? On top of or in addition to the copy of the law. Sorry, letter A, certificate of registration or its equivalent stating that the foreign CPA or the foreign applicant is duly registered or licensed CPA or its equivalent in their country or state. Letter B, the original or authenticated copy of the TOR or equivalent, okay, of the course for the licensure examination where they studied, duly accredited by their country, and the original or certified copy of any official documents issued by the Bureau of Immigration and Deportation allowing the applicant to enter and reside in the Philippines. All of these three other documents will be presented together with the copy of the law on foreign reciprocity. So the answer is Delta. Number 36, true or false, statement one, the board may, after the expiration of 2 years from the date of revocation of a certificate of registration and upon application and for the reasons deemed proper and sufficient, reinstate the validity of a revoked certificate of registration, and in so doing, may, in its discretion, exempt the applicant from taking another examination. And this one is true, right? 2 years, but not automatic. Upon discretion of the BOA, they may exempt the applicant from taking another exam. So statement one is true. Statement two, a new certificate of registration cannot be issued if the old certificate was lost, destroyed, mutilated under the principle of negligence. Statement two is false. You may actually request, okay, for a replacement of your lost, destroyed, or mutilated certificates. So letter A, true for statement one and false for statement two. Number 37, the following statements relate to some of the provisions of RA 9298, which is correct. Letter A, the penal provision of RA 9298 applies only to the violation of any of the rules of RA 9298 because the IRR are unenforceable, and letter A is not correct. Both the RA itself and its IRR are enforceable. So letter A is incorrect. Letter B, after 3 years, subject to certain conditions, the board may order the reinstatement of a revoked COR. And we know this is not correct. It is after 2 years, not three. So letter B is incorrect. Letter C, audit working papers are generally the property of the company whose financial statements were audited. And this one is also not true. It will be the auditor who is, or the working papers are actually the property of the auditor. So the auditor is the owner of the working papers and not the client. Letter D, it shall be the primary duty of the PRC and BOA to effectively enforce the provisions of RA 9298, and that is a correct statement. So delta for question 37. 38. All records. Have you ever wondered who keeps all the records of the CPA board examinations, including application, examination questions? Who keeps your answer sheets and other records and documents pertaining to the CIPALE? It shall be under the custody of, actually, it's under the custody of the PRC. So the PRC has all of the questionnaires and answer sheets, including application documents. Okay, so it's with the PRC. Charlie for 38. 39, you already know this one. Okay, you know this one by heart. How would you get a passed rating in the licensure examination? The requirement is general average of 75%, no grade lower than 60%. Okay, so general average with no grade lower than 65, rather, 65%. Okay, in any given subject. So that should be bravo. Number 40, this refers to those persons who hold a valid certificate issued by the Board of Accountancy, whether they be in public practice, industry, commerce and industry, public sector, or education, or the government. They're actually called professional accountants. Okay, regardless of the sector, they are called professional accountants. Number 41, the following statements relate to the submission of nominations to the Board of Accountancy, which is correct. So letter A, the APO or AIPO or PICPA in this case shall submit its nominations to the PRC not later than 30 days prior to the expiry of the term of an incumbent chair. Letter B, if the APO fails to submit its own nominees to the PRC, so five nominees from APO, then will become three recommendees from the PRC, then the one coming from the president. So if the APO fails to submit its own nominees, the PRC, in consultation with the Board of Accountancy, shall submit to the President of the Philippines a list of five nominees. But remember, from PRC to the President, that should only be three. No? So PICPA to PRC, five. PRC to President, three. Letter C, the accredited national professional organization of CPAs shall submit its nominations to the president not later than 60 days to the expiry of the term of an incumbent chair or member. Or letter D, there should be adequate documentation to show the qualifications and primary field of professional activity of each nominee. So the answer to this one, of course, is letter D. There should be adequate documentation. Now, in the case of letter A, actually, they are given 60 days, not later than 60 days. And in this case, again, if it's from PRC to the president, that should only be three nominees. And in the case of letter C, what makes this one incorrect is that the APO actually does not submit directly to the president. It has to be APO to PRC. Okay, so the answer then is Delta. Number 42, the following are grounds for suspension or revocation of a certificate of registration and a professional ID card excepts practice in more than one field of accountancy. Of course, we are allowed to practice in more than one field. If you want to be in public practice by day, but then a teacher by night, that's okay. There is no restriction. We can even practice in all four sectors if our time will still allow, right? So Bravo is not a ground for suspension. Number 43, an applicant for the CPA licensure examination should be a Filipino citizen, yes, of good moral character, definitely, a holder of the degree Bachelor of Science in Accountancy. So hopefully you're able to check all of the three items here in our question number 43. So the answer is 1, 2, and 3. That should be Charlie. Okay, so those are the requirements. And remember, you should not have been convicted of any criminal offense involving moral turpitude. Number 44, the APO shall submit its nominations to the Board of Accountancy with complete documentation to the Commission. And we know this one already. It should be not later than 60 days prior to the expiry of the term of an incumbent chair or member. And finally, we have reached question number 45. We did say we have prepared 45 practice questions for RA 9298, and this is the 45th question. The Philippine Accountancy Act of 2004 shall provide for and govern the standards and regulation of accounting education, the examination for the registration of CPAs, and the supervision, control, and regulation of the practice of accountancy in the Philippines. Do you remember we talked about the objectives outlined in the opening article of RA 9298? That was EEP, education, examination, and the practice of accountancy. So definitely the answer to this one is Delta, all of the answers. And I would like to congratulate everyone for practicing these 45 multiple choice questions with me on RA 9298. Good job, y'all. And I hope that I still get to see you in one of our future videos regards our review on auditing theory. So for now, thank you so much, everyone, and bye.